For more, Syed Akka joins us from Fredericksburg, Virginia. A former president of the Islamic Development Bank, Syed currently chairs a global Afghan diaspora organisation that provides policy advice on sustainable development and humanitarian aid. You are perfectly placed, Syed, to give us more information about what difference this is going to make for the lives of Afghans on the ground, the fact that international banks can start sending money into the country.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you for having me in the show. One correction, not president, but vice president of the Islamic Development Bank. This is the most welcome initiative, and we welcome this. This will facilitate extremely the work of NGOs and international organizations to work for the relief of the sufferings with the winter, with the harsh winter, and diseases, especially in the health sector, in education sector, in agriculture. However, sanctions inherently are a problem. We believe that time and again, historically, in the world, in other cases, sanctions have not had the impact that is desired, but instead has caused to more sufferings. So the ideal situation will be to remove sanctions completely on Afghanistan institution and put in place a mechanism. We believe it is possible that funds can be used transparently and audited for the purposes they are intended. Thank you.
That actually leads me into my next question. This clearly can't be a long-term solution. This is a bit of a workaround or a stopgap. You said that there could be mechanisms. What would that look like?
Well, there have been experiences, for example, in case of Yemen, and there will be, for example, a body that will work through the national institutions because working through NGOs and international organizations are welcome, but weakening national institutions is not in the long-term interest of the region or Afghanistan or the globe as a whole. So these mechanisms could be that there could be a system under an international monitoring that will make sure that the funds are used and work together closely with the relevant line ministries. But the funds will be through, the activities in the funds will be carried out through the line ministries and national institutions in order to strengthen them, but at the same time audited independently. A good example is, for example, the Global Fund mechanism for HIV/AIDS and malaria that has been working in many countries, including Sudan and others that were under sanction, but through national institutions very successfully.
And if I could ask you, I know this is a difficult question because the need is so great, but where would you like to see the money directed to initially? Where is the greatest need?
Well, the greatest need currently is the sufferings of people, women, men, and children are dying because of cold weather, because of hunger, because of disease. Of course, these are the top priorities. But at the same time, parallel to that, institutions have to be empowered, their capacity has to be developed, systems has to be put in place and supported in order to move towards recovery and more sustainable development. Humanitarian aid is important, but it's not the long-term solution. It is like a painkiller, but we need to address the symptom, not the symptoms, but the source of the problem, which is lack of strong institutions and lack of vibrant economic activities that create jobs, that creates productivity, that banks and financial institutions function properly. I think that's where we should lead to using, but of course address the humanitarian needs currently.
Syed, Afghanistan is no stranger to conflict and instability, but has the economy ever been this bad?
Has the economy ever been
this bad as the current situation at the moment?
Not at all. During the Soviet occupation in the 80s and 90s, the economy was functioning to some extent. People were surviving, but this is the worst that has ever been in the history of Afghanistan. It could get even worse if sanctions and other restrictions continue and engagement and diplomacy doesn't work. We at IRADA, and based on my experience with the Islamic Development Bank, with the UN, strongly believe that that engagement should be the way forward. We should not repeat the mistakes of the 90s and 80s and the early 2000s. Work can be done with the current authorities and reform can be introduced. Diplomacy is the right way. And the economy will further collapse, and it will be a disaster not only for the suffering people in Afghanistan, but also a cause of instability again for the region and globally.
Syed Akka, your expertise is very much valued here on the NewsHour. Thank you for your time.